Most people live life not as it is, but as they think it is. The problem is not the size of your God, it's the size of your belief. You don't drown by falling into deep water. You drown when you stay there. Many of you are not limited by what you don't have. You are limited by the belief that you cannot go further than where you are right now. But hear me. The power to unlock your full potential has never been in your weakness. It has always been in God's power working through you. Every human being arrives on this earth carrying something far greater than what they imagine. Think about a seed. When you look at a small seed, it doesn't look like much. Tiny, fragile, almost insignificant. But within that single seed lies an entire forest. The seed does not look like the forest, and yet, hidden within its design, generations of trees are waiting to be born. That is how your life is. You may not look like the greatness inside of you, but it is there. You may not feel like the power that resides in you, but it is there. The potential you carry is not determined by what you see on the outside. It is determined by what has been placed in you from the beginning. The real tragedy of life is not that people die. Everyone will one day leave this earth. The real tragedy is that most people never live while they are here. They die with books unwritten, songs unsung, businesses unbuilt, ideas unshared, and dreams never pursued. Cemeteries are the richest places on the planet because in them lie countless visions that were never realized. People went to their graves not because they had no potential, but because they limited themselves to what they thought they could do, instead of discovering what they were truly capable of. Look at daily life. How many times have you said to yourself, I can't do that? Not because it was impossible, but because you compared yourself to someone else who seemed stronger, smarter, or more gifted. You convinced yourself you didn't have what it takes. But here's the truth. No one was created with more potential than you. Potential is not about what is visible. It is about what is hidden. A diamond in the rough looks like an ordinary stone until someone takes the time to polish it. In the same way, your life may look ordinary, but inside you is extraordinary value waiting for refinement. Think of a smartphone in your hand. It looks sleek, but the real power of that device is not in the casing. It's in the operating system inside. If the software is locked, you cannot access the full features. In the same way, many people live locked, never realizing the software within them has untapped abilities, talents, and strengths that the world has yet to see. Potential means unused ability. It means what you could be but haven't yet become. You are far more than what you have achieved so far. Consider a student who always scores average grades. Everyone thinks that's all they are capable of. But then one day, that student encounters a teacher who believes in them, pushes them, and challenges them to study differently. Suddenly, the student begins to excel beyond expectation. What happened? The potential was always there, but it took the right environment and mindset to bring it out. You too have areas of greatness inside you that will only manifest when you stop doubting and start believing in what you already carry. Too many people live under labels others have placed on them. Maybe you've been told you're not smart enough. You don't have enough money. You come from the wrong family. You don't have the right education. But potential has nothing to do with external labels. A rose does not need permission to bloom because it was designed to bloom. Your background does not decide your future. Your potential does. Stop allowing temporary circumstances to define an eternal gift that was placed in you. Think of the child who looks at a bicycle for the first time. They say, I can't ride that. The truth is, they already have the ability to ride. It's in their balance, coordination, and growth process. But until they try, until they fall and get back up, that potential remains hidden. That's how life works. You cannot discover potential by playing safe. You discover it by stepping into places that stretch you, challenge you, and sometimes even scare you. When you wake up every morning, remind yourself, I have more inside me than what I am showing the world today. Your job is not to settle. Your job is to keep pulling out what is within you. A tree never stops growing until it dies. Likewise, you should never stop stretching your capacity. The moment you believe you have arrived is the moment you stop becoming. Potential is infinite. You never fully exhaust it. You only keep discovering deeper levels of it. Look at inventors, leaders, and dreamers who changed the world. They were not born with special powers. They were ordinary people who believed that what was inside them was greater than the obstacles outside them. When Thomas Edison was told he failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb, he replied, I didn't fail. I discovered thousands of ways it didn't work. That is the mindset of potential. It does not accept failure as final. It sees every obstacle as proof that there is still more inside to release. When you walk through life thinking small, you insult the greatness within you. When you reduce yourself to fit other people's expectations, you deny the world the gift of your uniqueness. You were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out. There is something you can do that no one else on earth can replicate in the exact way you were designed to do it. That is why you cannot afford to limit yourself. Your potential is not just for you. It is for the people waiting on the other side of your courage. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not the boss who overlooks you, not the competition that seems ahead of you, not the lack of money in your account, and not even the critics who try to put you down. The greatest enemy is the voice inside your own head that whispers, you can't do it. That voice is the invisible chain that ties millions of people to an average life when they were created for greatness. It is not the storm outside the boat that sinks it. It is the water you allow inside. In the same way, life does not break you because of challenges on the outside. It breaks you when you allow limiting beliefs on the inside. How many times have you talked yourself out of opportunities before they even began? You see a job opening and say, I don't qualify. You get an idea for a business but immediately say, I don't have the money. You feel a dream rising inside you but quickly add, people like me don't get chances like that. And without realizing it, you bury your potential under a mountain of excuses. Limiting beliefs are dangerous because they look like facts, but in reality, they are lies you've repeated so long that you started believing them. Think of a circus elephant tied to a small rope. As a baby, the elephant was tied down, and every time it tried to break free, the rope held it back. Over time, the elephant gave up trying. Now, as a massive adult weighing thousands of pounds, it could easily snap that rope in an instant, but it doesn't even try. Why? Because in its mind, the rope is stronger than it is. That is how many people live. You are strong enough, smart enough, capable enough to break free, but your mind is convinced the rope is still stronger. Look around in everyday life. You'll see students who never raise their hands because they believe their questions are stupid. You'll see employees who never speak up in meetings because they assume their ideas have no value. You'll see dreamers who never start their projects because they think failure is guaranteed. These are not people without talent. These are not people without resources. These are people who allowed the enemy called self-limiting belief to build a prison around them. Fear is the fertilizer of limiting beliefs. It takes one negative experience and convinces you that it defines your entire future. Maybe you failed once, and now you believe you're not capable. Maybe someone rejected you, and now you think no one will ever accept you. But a single event does not define your life unless you allow it to. Falling down does not mean you cannot walk. It only means you need to rise again. Yet how many people stop walking after the first fall? Children fall many times before they ever learn to walk, but they never stop trying. Imagine if a child stopped walking after their first fall. The world would be full of crawling adults. You see how ridiculous that sounds? But that's exactly what adults do when they allow fear to freeze them. Another problem with self-limiting beliefs is that they disguise themselves as wisdom. People say, "I'm just being realistic." But what they call realistic is often nothing more than fear in a suit and tie. Being realistic has stopped more people from stepping into greatness than failure ever has. You don't need to be realistic. You need to be courageous. History has never remembered the people who played it safe. It remembers those who dared to believe in what others called impossible. Consider someone who always wanted to start a small business but keeps saying, "The economy is too bad, I don't have enough capital, and people won't support me." 10 years later, that same person is still in the same place, still talking about the dream, still blaming conditions. The real problem was never the economy or the capital. It was the belief that they couldn't move forward without perfect conditions. Perfect conditions don't exist. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you will wait forever. Look at athletes. The greatest athletes are not always the most naturally gifted. They are the ones who refuse to let limiting beliefs hold them back. Think about Michael Jordan, who was once cut from his high school basketball team. He could have believed, "I'm not good enough," and quit. But instead, he decided that failure was not a final verdict. He pushed himself until the world recognized him as one of the greatest to ever play the game. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is not always ability. It is the belief that ability can grow. Even in relationships, limiting beliefs destroy people. Someone goes through heartbreak and says, "I'll never love again." Someone gets betrayed and says, "You can't trust anyone." Someone gets disappointed and says, "Nothing ever works out for me." These are not facts, these are conclusions written by pain. But when you accept them as truth, you close the door on new possibilities. If you let past experiences dictate your beliefs, you lock yourself out of the future you deserve. The truth is, your beliefs shape your reality. If you believe you can, your mind will find ways to make it possible. If you believe you can't, your mind will collect evidence to prove you right. It's not that life was against you. It's that you were against yourself. What you believe sets the ceiling on how high you can rise. That ceiling isn't real. It only exists in your mind. Remove the ceiling, and suddenly the sky is no longer the limit. Self-limiting beliefs shrink your vision, and when your vision is small, your actions are small. And when your actions are small, your results are small. But if you dare to stretch your belief, your vision expands, your actions increase, and your results transform. The moment you stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I will try," doors begin to open. Life responds to the language of belief. You can work as hard as you want, but human strength will always meet its limits. You can plan, calculate, organize, and strategize, but without a power greater than yourself, your progress will always have ceilings. That is why some people labor day and night, chasing success, yet feel empty and stuck. Effort without divine multiplication is like running on a treadmill. You sweat, you get tired, but you remain in the same place. When you begin to align your life with God's power, your small steps begin to create giant leaps. What seemed impossible becomes achievable, not because you suddenly became a superhero, but because you tapped into a strength beyond your own. Look at the farmer who plants seeds in the soil. He does not have the power to make those seeds grow. He cannot force rain to fall or sunlight to shine. All he can do is plant, water, and wait, but when nature adds its power, something small beneath the ground breaks open and becomes a harvest far greater than the seed he planted. That is the same with your life. Your job is to plant your efforts faithfully. God's power is what multiplies them into results you could never produce on your own. How many times have you looked at your resources and said, "This is not enough"? You look at your bank account and think, "I can't start with this." You look at your talent and say, "I don't have what it takes." You look at your connections and feel like you are all alone. But here's the truth. What you call not enough is often the perfect raw material for multiplication. The problem is not the size of your seed. It is your lack of belief in what that seed can become when it connects with divine power. Think of a young person who starts a small business selling snacks from a basket on the street. To the world, it looks insignificant. But when they commit it to God and keep showing up with excellence, doors begin to open. Suddenly, customers multiply. One day, a store owner notices their consistency and offers them space. Over time, what was once a small basket becomes a thriving enterprise. That is what happens when effort is multiplied. You don't need to begin with a warehouse to build one. You need to begin with what you have and trust the power that expands it. Life itself gives us daily reminders of multiplication. A single apple has many seeds. If you plant those seeds, they produce trees, and each tree carries more apples with more seeds. That's multiplication. Potential is never added, it's multiplied. In the same way, your skills, your time, your ideas may look small, but when you surrender them to God's power, they begin to expand in ways your mind cannot calculate. Sometimes we believe that success comes only from massive action. But it's not always about doing more. It's about doing what you can and letting God breathe on it. A single breath of divine favor can open a door that years of effort could not. One conversation can change your entire destiny. One opportunity can replace years of struggle. That's what happens when your effort meets His power. Speed, acceleration, and impact beyond measure. Think of a fisherman who throws his net all night and catches nothing. He's exhausted, frustrated, and ready to quit. Then, at the right moment, with the right instruction, he throws the net again and suddenly it breaks under the weight of the catch. What changed? Not the water, not the net, not the fish. What changed was the presence of divine power that multiplied his effort. Some of you have been working hard, but catching nothing, because you've been relying only on your own strength. The moment you shift your focus, your empty nets can overflow. Everyday life proves this principle. A student may study diligently, but feel stuck at a certain level. Then, with divine help, suddenly concepts that once seemed confusing become clear, and opportunities like scholarships and mentors appear unexpectedly. A parent may feel like their small acts of love and discipline are not making a difference. But over time, those consistent seeds grow into children who thrive in life. Multiplication is not always instant, but it is always certain when power greater than yours is involved. There is a story in science about compound interest. The idea that money grows not just by what you add, but by what it multiplies into. If you invest a small amount and let it grow with compound interest, in time it becomes a fortune. That is exactly how God's power works. Your small beginnings, compounded with divine favor, create exponential results. What looks tiny today becomes massive tomorrow, not because of your effort alone, but because of who multiplies it. When you realize that you are not alone in your efforts, you stop despising small beginnings. You stop saying, "This is too little." You begin to understand that the same power that created oceans out of drops and mountains out of dust is the power that can expand your vision, enlarge your territory, and multiply your results. Your effort may put a seed in the ground, but his power produces the harvest. You may lift the bow, but his power sends the arrow flying farther than your strength could ever reach. Focus is the secret ingredient that separates those who succeed from those who merely exist. Power is never fully experienced without direction. Think about sunlight. When the rays of the sun are scattered across the earth, they warm but they do not burn. But when you take those same rays and channel them through a magnifying glass, they ignite fire. The power of the sun didn't change, the difference was focus. In the same way, many people are powerful, gifted, talented, and creative, but because their lives are scattered in too many directions, their energy warms but never ignites. They live busy but not effective. They do a lot, but they achieve little because they have not yet learned that where your focus goes, your energy flows. In daily life, distractions are everywhere. You wake up in the morning determined to start something meaningful, and before you know it, your phone is buzzing with notifications, your mind is consumed by social media, and hours have slipped away. It is not that you lack time, it is that you lack focus. Time is democratic. Everybody has the same 24 hours. The difference is how focused you are with those hours. A person with focus can do in 1 year what an unfocused person cannot achieve in 10. Think about the eagle. Unlike other birds, the eagle doesn't waste its energy chasing every insect or flying around aimlessly. It soars high, locks its eyes on a target miles away, and when the moment comes, it dives with precision. The eagle's strength is not just in its wingspan, it is in its focus. Human beings are no different. The more scattered your vision, the weaker your impact. The more concentrated your focus, the greater your results. Many people fail not because they are not talented, but because they are distracted. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. You cannot chase every opportunity and expect to master your assignment. You cannot try to please everyone and still remain faithful to your calling. The more you divide your focus, the weaker your energy becomes. Just like a river that overflows and floods, a city loses its power. But that same river, when dammed and directed, can generate electricity for thousands of homes. Power is not in movement, it is in focused movement. Consider the student preparing for exams. If they spend 10 hours studying, but keep checking their phone every few minutes, their mind is fragmented and their retention is weak. Meanwhile, another student studies for only 3 focused hours without distraction and ends up mastering the subject. It was not the number of hours, but the level of focus that made the difference. That principle applies to business, relationships, health, and every area of life. Some people wonder why their dreams feel stagnant. It's not always because the dream is too big. It's often because their attention is too divided. They start a project but abandon it halfway for another. They launch a business but spend more time comparing themselves with others than building their own. They have a vision but allow distractions to drain their time. You cannot harvest fruit from a tree if you keep uprooting it to plant it in new soil. Likewise, you cannot expect success if you keep shifting your focus from one thing to another. Think of a laser beam. Light in general is harmless, but when it is concentrated into a laser, it can cut through steel. Your mind is the same. Unfocused thoughts produce little impact, but a focused mind can cut through impossibilities. People call it determination, persistence, or grit, but at the heart of it is focus. When you know what you want, when you fix your eyes on it, and when you refuse to be distracted, you unlock a power that no obstacle can stop. Even in relationships, focus matters. A couple that focuses on building trust and growth together grows stronger. But when their focus shifts to comparison with other couples or constant distraction, the bond weakens. Focus feeds what you value. Whatever you focus on expands. Focus on problems and they grow bigger. Focus on solutions and they become clear. Focus on weaknesses and you'll feel defeated. Focus on strengths and you'll feel empowered. Look at entrepreneurs who start from nothing and build empires. They are not superhuman. They are focused. While others are scrolling endlessly, they are refining their ideas. While others chase everything, they are mastering one thing. Focus turns ordinary men and women into extraordinary achievers. Focus is what transforms effort into excellence. In sports, this is obvious. A runner in a race cannot afford to keep turning their head to see who is behind. Every glance sideways wastes energy and slows momentum. The champion keeps eyes fixed on the finish line. In life, you will lose speed every time you compare yourself to others. Distraction steals momentum, but focus fuels acceleration. Your lane is your lane. Your assignment is your assignment. The moment you fix your eyes on your purpose, you stop being moved by what others are doing. Many people ask, why am I not seeing results? The truth is not that they lack talent or resources, but that their focus is diluted. It's like pouring a cup of juice into a swimming pool. You will never taste it because it has been spread too thin. But take that same cup of juice and drink it directly. It's concentrated, it's powerful, it has impact. Your life works the same way. Diluted focus produces diluted results. Concentrated focus produces concentrated results. Distractions will always knock at your door, but you decide whether they enter. You cannot stop birds from flying over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest in your hair. You cannot stop distractions from appearing, but you can stop them from controlling your mind. Focus is a decision. It is the discipline of saying no to what does not matter, so you can say yes to what truly does. It is the courage to stay with one vision long enough for it to bear fruit. Potential without action is like a treasure locked in a chest. You can admire the chest, polish it, and even talk about the value inside. But until you find the courage to open it, the treasure remains unused. Many people live their entire lives with treasures hidden inside them because they were too afraid to take bold steps. Bold action is the bridge between what you carry inside and what the world gets to see. You cannot think your way into greatness alone. You must act your way into it. Every dream demands courage. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward even when fear is screaming in your ear. Some people wait for the day when they will feel ready, when they will have more money, when the timing will be perfect, when the circumstances will line up. That day never comes. The perfect time does not exist. Waiting for ideal conditions is the fastest way to bury your potential. Progress does not wait for perfect conditions. It responds to bold decisions. Think of the first time a child rides a bicycle. They are afraid of falling, their balance is shaky, and their knees may scrape the ground. But the only way they learn is by getting on the bike and pedaling anyway. If they wait to feel confident before riding, they will never learn. Confidence is built through action. In the same way, many adults are waiting for confidence before they act, when in reality, confidence comes after you act. Bold action teaches you what planning alone never will. Look at everyday life. How many times have you had an idea, felt excitement, even imagined the impact, but never acted? Weeks pass, months pass, and one day you see someone else doing what you thought of. Suddenly you realize the idea was never just for you. It was waiting for whoever was bold enough to act on it. Life does not reward intention, it rewards execution. Dreams without bold steps remain daydreams. Think about history's great achievements. Airplanes, electricity, computers, businesses, organizations that shape society. They all began as bold actions. The people behind them were not extraordinary in their beginnings. They simply dared to take risks when others played it safe. Bold action separates the few who make history from the many who talk about what could have been. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. People say, "I'm just being cautious," when in truth they are being paralyzed. Bold action is not reckless. It is calculated courage. It means you count the cost, but you don't let the cost stop you. It means you understand the risks, but you still step out because the reward is greater than staying the same. Boldness is the language of progress. Nothing grows in the comfort zone. Everything you dream of lies on the other side of it. Consider someone who has always wanted to start writing a book. They keep saying, "I need to learn more. I need better equipment. I need more time." Years pass and the book is still not written. Then another person with less knowledge, less equipment, and less time starts writing just 1 page a day. Months later, their book is complete and being read by thousands. What made the difference? Not talent, not resources, action. The boldness to start when everything was not yet in place. Bold action often looks foolish to those who are too afraid to try. When someone steps out to launch a new idea, others laugh. When someone leaves a secure job to pursue a vision, others criticize. But history shows us that the people who were once mocked for bold moves are later celebrated for their courage. You cannot unlock potential while living for the approval of the fearful. Those who never dared will never understand those who do. Look at the bamboo tree. For years after planting, nothing seems to happen. You water it, you care for it, but the soil shows no results. Then suddenly in the 5th year, it shoots up several feet in a matter of weeks. But the growth was not sudden. The foundation was being built underground all along. Bold action in your life works the same way. You may not see instant results, but every step is building roots. Then, in one moment, everything shifts, and what you carried inside begins to manifest. But none of it happens if you never plant the seed of action. Even in relationships, bold action is required. Love unexpressed remains invisible. Opportunities to reconcile, to forgive, to speak words of encouragement, all require bold steps. Some people wait for the other person to move first, and in the process, years of potential healing and joy are wasted. Bold action changes the course of families, friendships, and communities. Sports remind us of this truth as well. A player who never takes the shot will never score. Yes, they might miss, but the chance of success is zero without action. You cannot win by standing on the sidelines. Life is not a spectator sport. You unlock potential by stepping onto the field, by taking risks, by daring to fail and daring to rise again. The world is filled with people who are talented, gifted, and full of ideas, but only a fraction of them take bold action. That fraction is the one that changes the world. Potential alone is not enough. Vision alone is not enough. Even prayer alone is not enough. At some point, you must move. You must step out. You must act boldly. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide whether they will continue to live within the cage of comfort or break free into the world of possibility. That moment is not tomorrow. It is not next year. It is now. You were not born to sit on the sidelines of life, watching others rise while you remain in the shadows. You were born with greatness written into your design. The world does not need another copy. It is waiting for your originality, your voice, your vision, your potential. And the truth is, if you do not release it, no one else can, because no one else carries what you carry. The greatest tragedy is not death. The greatest tragedy is to be alive yet never truly live. It is to breathe but never inspire, to wake up each morning but never chase what sets your soul on fire. Do not allow fear to keep you where you are. Fear whispers, "What if you fail?" Boldness answers, "But what if I fly?" Fear says, "Stay safe." Destiny says, "Take the risk." Fear points at your weakness, but faith points at your potential. If you let fear write the script of your life, you will end up living someone else's story. But when you choose courage, when you choose action, when you choose to step into the unknown, you begin to write history. You have one life, just one. And the clock is ticking whether you move or not. Minutes turn into hours, hours into days, days into years. The difference between those who leave their mark and those who leave excuses is simple decisions. You cannot keep waiting for the stars to align. The stars will never align perfectly. You must step out while they are scattered and trust that they will form a constellation once you move. Listen carefully. Your potential is screaming to be released. The ideas you keep postponing, the dreams you keep shelving, the talents you keep hiding, these are not random. They are evidence that you were created for more. Stop burying what was meant to be planted. Stop hiding what was meant to shine. Stop delaying what was meant to be started now. The graveyard is full of people who said, "One day." Don't join them. Let today be your day one. Every great story we admire began with a decision. Someone got tired of being average. Someone got tired of being silent. Someone got tired of waiting for permission. They stood up and said, "Enough is enough. I will not waste my life." And from that moment, the world changed. That person can be you. You don't have to be the smartest, the richest, or the most connected. You just have to be the most committed. Commitment beats talent when talent refuses to act. Think about it. Light only shines when it refuses to stay hidden. A river only flows when it refuses to stay trapped in the mountains. A seed only grows when it refuses to remain in the soil. And a person only fulfills their purpose when they refuse to stay silent, refuse to stay safe, and refuse to stay limited. The world respects action, not intention. The world remembers those who dared, not those who delayed. So let this be the day you draw the line. Let this be the day you silence the voice that says, "You're not enough." You are more than enough when you walk in the power that is greater than you. Let this be the day you stop saying, "I'll try someday," and start saying, "I'll start now." Boldness has a sound, and it echoes through generations. When you step out, you don't just change your life, you inspire others to rise. Your courage will give others permission to be courageous. Your fire will ignite fires in others. Your victory will become a roadmap for those who thought it was impossible. Do not go to the grave with your music still inside you. Do not die with your book unwritten, your invention unbuilt, your vision unseen. When your time comes to leave this earth, empty yourself. Pour it all out, live full and die empty. Let the world say, "This one gave everything. This one lived with boldness. This one never held back." Because in the end, success is not measured by what you accumulated, but by what you released. It is not what you kept, but what you gave. It is not what you dreamed, but what you dared to do. So rise up, stand tall. Stop limiting yourself. Focus not on your weakness, but on the power within you to do more, to be more, to give more. The world has been waiting long enough. Now is your time. Now is your moment. Now is your season. And if anyone ever asks you, what made the difference? You can say with boldness, I stopped waiting. I stopped doubting. I stopped limiting myself. I chose to believe and I chose to act. Because when you decide, heaven moves, doors open, and your life will never be the same again.